Hello everyone, and welcome to Jack Jameson, written by Ryland Mason and narrated by me, Brian Shepard. Chapter 3. Good morning, passengers. This is your captain. As we make our approach, I would like to thank you on behalf of myself and crew for making Ciro your destination. The weather outside is a beautiful 94 degrees and no clouds. We hope you will enjoy your visit. Crew, prepare for landing. Leave it to the captain to wake me from a terrible nightmare that I was traveling with my ex Christopher, and of course, reality hits me as I look over to find who but Christopher leaning on my shoulder, drooling. So my nightmare is real. Great, which meant we're absolutely doing this. Chris. I nudge him. Not to startle him, that and to stop the drool that was about to fall from his mouth. I had to snicker. It was cute seeing him like this. I grabbed my phone to take a picture for proof if it was needed later on. Laughing in my head because I know he'll kill me. Yet the guy in my head, who might be writing this, thought it would be funny. Huh? Are we here? Why do you have this evil grin on your face? It's too early, Jack, he said as he quickly wiped his mouth. I was saved from answering as the seatbelt sign came on as we descended down and onto the runway. We both grabbed our carry-on and exited the plane. Cairo International was busy this morning. It was always crowded, considering we were now in one of the 7 wonders of the world. The Great Pyramid of Giza, along with so many Egyptian archaeology discoveries, you could be here for a year and still not see everything. I should know. It's where I hid for over a year to forget him. And here he is. Charles should be picking us up. Keep an eye out for him, he said as he strode by me as if I wasn't moving fast enough. So I kept up with him, keeping an eye for a guy who would be looking at me with daggers coming out of his eyes. So when we walked out of the arrival pickup area, daggers came flying at me as we turned the corner to find him waiting with the trunk open. Chris, had you told me it was Jack you were traveling with, I would have stayed at the office and made you catch a cab, he said as we got to the trunk with our bags. Like I said, the guy hated me for some reason and didn't care if I could hear him. Obviously, as I stood right next to him. I just gave him the, I really don't like you either look. And Chris just sighed. Charles, be nice. That's the reason why I didn't tell you. I'm not an idiot. Now let's go. Signaling for me to get in the car. Strangely enough, he scooted in next to me in the back. Why not the front seat? Why did he have to sit next to me? He's doing this on purpose, I swear. The drive was beautiful, as Egypt itself was, in a whole, an exotic place to be. Rich in culture, a ton of history and legend, it never stopped. There were discoveries all the time. It was one of the best places to study archaeology, as the staff at the Egyptian Museum were always eager to find the next big tomb or ancient buried city. I've had my many finds over the years, yet there was always someone else who would take the credit. The downfall of shadowing a mentor. Sometimes. So this crown means a lot to me, and I have to find it. We made it to the museum where Charles would go over any and all information he discovered while translating the diary. I have questions, and I know our queen has the answers. The quicker I can find it, the quicker I can go back to Florida and away from Christopher. Maybe I can visit Mickey Mouse. Charles led Chris and I down to the elevator and down to the basement where his office was, and the translating and preservers rooms were held. Walking into his office was something out of Martha Stewart's magazine. Color-matching, organized, neat freak. You know, the type to have a nice pencil holder with 20 pencils that are not sharpened that you just want to knock off the desk. Yep, that's Charles Pepper for you. On what seemed to be a rotating chalkboard, he had pages upon pages just plastered all over. Notes and more notes, which, looking at it, made no sense to me. So now I'm going to have to endure him talking even longer. I see a lot of notes and pages. Care to tell me what all this means? I said, looking dead at him to move this along. Hello, Jack. It's been a while. Still trying to become the next Carter, I see. Here I thought you would give up and work some lonely graveyard shift as a museum security officer, Charles said as he looked away from me and turned his attention to the board. Charles, I never understood your distaste for me. However, it looks like you yourself have that museum job, while I'll be out hunting and searching. I never was any good at paperwork. You neither, it seems, I said as I pointed to the board. I'm here for information, not to go rounds with him. Both of you need to focus. Charles, let's just start at the beginning. Tell us what you know. Time is running out, as we are not the only ones who will be looking for it, he said as he leaned against the wall, folding his arms against his chest. Wait, not the only ones? What did that mean? We'll get back to that in a minute. Charles began to tell Chris and I what he and his team had discovered. Listening to what I was carrying around was amazing. Her life and the stories she would tell to her brother back home would either be of happiness or, from what we thought to be untrue, was true. She was sad, depressed, and lonely sometimes. She would write to her brother and make up these elaborate stories to ease his worry about her. She must have thought that one day he would be able to read what she wrote, and that he would write back. I think I know why there were two identical diaries. She had one sent to him. It's the only way to explain why I have one. And one was 8 feet in the ground. However, it did not explain why it was buried in Ireland. So, to enlighten me, Charles began. Queen Lorena, daughter of his lordship, Duke Byrne, whose main duty was shipping and trade. His title gave him authority over the town and ports. The Duke was a wealthy and well-respected man and had been a favorite of Queen Elizabeth's up to her death in March of 1603. Lorena was born April 21st. Her father, the Duke, was busy during the birth due to Queen Elizabeth's passing, and now negotiations with the newly crowned King of England, James VI. King James was not a popular king. Although he had ruled as King of Scotland, he was not ready for the uphill challenges he would face upon assuming the English throne. Duke Byrne knew it was only a matter of time before James would be surrounded by a slew of politically ill-advised decisions, from imposing levies to attempting to forge an alliance with Spain. Why Spain? No one knew. Put him at odds with Parliament and the public, and were partially to blame for his unpopularity. There was also the mention of increasing the taxes on trade and shipments. Other factors included his Scottish origins. It was always obvious from his thick accent. His colorful favorites, also of a Scottish origins, and his widely recognized attraction to other men, which may have led him to confer honors upon his favorites. The Duke was not going to be involved in such dealings, and for now would stay quiet. Why rock the boat? Favor was technically still in his favor. As the years went on, Lorena lost her mother while the Duke was away on business, leaving her with her brother to take care of. Most of the house staff stayed on to care for both Lorena and John, or Johnny, as she would call him in the diary. With the passing of the new tax law on merchant goods, The Duke was now paying even more to the crown, or the king's favorites, as he knew the money never reached James. Now that the Duke was making even more in trade, now that Spain was in a dire need of food and supplies after the failed Spanish Armada against England, which put Philip of Spain in the hole 10.3 million. Ships and supplies were only supposed to cost 3.2. Philip was determined to take Elizabeth out, that he drove his country to financial ruin, which now made the world see Spain fall and not be the dominant nation. Looking at Chris and I as he paused, great, not finished. He continued. In March of 1625, King James VI passed away at an early age of only 58. By that time, Lorena was 22, and the Duke, getting up in years himself, knew his daughter needed to be taken care of and trusted no one around in the political circle now that Charles I would accede the throne. Remembering a trade route for diamonds, the Duke became friends with a local tribe called the Yamo, a somewhat civilized culture located deep in the Amazon. Duke Bern had only seen the palace twice during the negotiations with the Amazon king. The king was looking for a wife, as he was getting up in years. According to her diary, the king was 63. Producing a male heir was something he longed for to keep his council satisfied. So, in the dead of night, the decision was made that Lorena would take the trek to the Amazon to be presented to the king and hopefully be wed, thus securing the Duke's favor, along with Lorena being taken care of. Lorena made this journey alone. Her brother was heartbroken as he found out only after waking up that morning. Charles finished looking sad as he walked away from his collage of notes and papers and slumped down into his chair. Looking at Chris, I started by saying, "That's all very interesting, and I'm less confused about some of the pieces. Slowly, they're fitting together. We just need to find out where we are going next," I said as Chris got up from the chair. "We are staying here for the night. My father has booked us for a flight out tomorrow. In the meantime, I'd love to look around the museum," he said as he walked past me, heading for the door. I just kept eyeing those neat pencils in the holder. "Absolutely. I'd love to show you around." Charles beamed like a little schoolboy on his first field trip. I turned to walk out, only to see Chris and Charles quickly turn around to see what the crash was. "Sorry about that, Pepper. Must have been too close to the edge." "Yeah, I did it, and it felt good." Charles just smiled and walked back over and began to pick up the pencils. "No worries. Easy to pick up," he said as he was bent down, now grabbing that one that got away under the bookshelf. Walking out of the room, I was met with a smack in my forearm. "Seriously? Are we 12? Smiling to himself as we walked together slowly, waiting for Pepper to put a pep in his step. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Chapter 3. Chapter 4 is right behind us. Oh, it's getting there. So, till next time.